Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Late Stream with the Big D, with some Manchester United news, chat, and fun. I am your host, D. And remember, if you like this stream, please like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to click the notification button so that you know when the next Big D video, stream, whatever hits. And if there's anything on your mind, if something is bubbling up inside of you that you need to express, please express it in the chat. The Big D reads all of the chat and he's always interested in what is on your mind. Anyway, welcome. On this stream, we're going to be catching up with a little bit of news with regards to Manchester United. There hasn't been a lot to talk about necessarily that's greatly interesting since the Manchester City match, or at the very least since my last stream. However, in this one, we are going to be having a little chat and a little bit of a little bit of fun, just to relax and maybe talk about a couple of things that might put a smile on our faces as Manchester United fans who go through the mill. But let's get back into let's have a little look at the news, see what the crack is. So revenue, that is the major headline at the moment with Manchester United. They have posted record revenue in the past however many quarters or whatever, and they have reduced their overall sort of losses by about 100 million or something like that from what I've been reading there. And I'm not surprised really, because we've sold that many players, we've got rid of the bomb squad, we've lowered the wages, and we've also sort of sacked a lot of people, and also we've increased all the ticket prices as well. So, yeah, things financially, at the very least, at Manchester United are on the up. So it says here that the overall losses have dropped from 113 million to 33 overall, after co-owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe oversaw a raft of cost-cutting measures. This was achieved by several high-earning players who were not part of the first team, going out on loan or being sold. More than 250 members of staff at Old Trafford were made redundant in the first round of cuts. And they've also spent 36.6 million in terms of exceptional items, which include payoffs to employees as part of the transformation plan, along with former boss Erik Ten Hag. Broadcasting revenue has decreased. I'm not surprised, because who wants to watch United at the moment? Obviously, we had a nice little run in the Europa League. But the Europa League, obviously, we don't get paid that much money compared to the Champions League. But, it says here, Ratcliffe warned United would have gone bust at Christmas if they had not taken really tough decisions, etc., etc., etc. But Man United are at an operating loss of 33 million, yet we've spent about, 250 million on Sesko and Bumo, Cunha, Lamens. Have I missed someone? I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know. See, I've got a little bit of an interest in finance, and all of these big sort of organisations, these big corporations, which is what Manchester United are now. They're a corporation. They're never, ever, ever fully transparent or truthful when it comes to money. And why would they be? Seriously, why would they be? I don't believe that Man United are as skint as what it's made out. I really don't. And the fact that they have invested in a brand new stadium, and they've also spent 250 million on players, new players, good players. Well, hopefully they're going to be good anyway. Just kind of, it goes against the narrative that United are so skint they'd have gone bust by Christmas. I just don't buy that for a second at all. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So yeah, but at the very least, according to this, according to the narrative, Man United have tightened the belt, so to speak. So I suppose it's good news, really. Other news, Ruben Amorim has 3 games to save his job, but we spoke about that on the last stream, and I kind of agree with it, really. If he doesn't get some good results in the next 3 games, the Liverpool match will be the crunch one, and from there, he very, very well could be sacked, really. And I don't want to see it happen. I really don't, but it could happen. But yeah, this next little bit of news about Kobbie Mainoo. Apparently Newcastle are keeping an eye on Kobbie Mainoo for the January transfer window, which is ridiculous. If Man United entertain the notion of selling Kobbie Mainoo to anyone, let alone Newcastle, I mean, they're just shooting themselves in the foot, really, because of the position we need to strengthen the most right now, because everywhere else is pretty much solid, to be fair. Good defence. We've got a new goalkeeper and we've got a good attack now. We just need to knit it all together with a good midfield. So to get rid of Kobbie Mainoo in January would be ridiculous. But I mean, I think Kobbie Mainoo, I know he wants to leave on loan, but he should be in the team now. Really? But anyway, it says here, Newcastle are keeping tabs on Manchester United midfielder Kobbie Mainoo ahead of the January transfer window, according to TalkSport. It is claimed that the England international was desperate to leave Old Trafford in the summer after falling out of favour with boss Ruben Amorim, but United blocked an exit. Newcastle United boss Eddie Howe is reportedly an admirer of Mainoo and would consider testing United's resolve if the 21-year-old remains in the cold. The Man United Academy graduate came off the bench in Sunday's 3-0 loss at City and is yet to start a Premier League game this season, with his only start coming in the Carabao Cup loss at Grimsby. The report says Mainoo's teammates are perplexed by Amorim's lack of faith in the player who scored an FA Cup final winning goal last year and also started for England in their Euro 2024 final loss to Spain. And I wholeheartedly agree that Kobbie Mainoo should be starting for Manchester United. And here we are in the chat. First comment in the chat, and it's MU Intrigued. Higher pal, yes, higher indeed. We are just talking about Kobbie Mainoo and why he should be playing and why United should not be selling him to Newcastle United or to any club for that matter in the January transfer window. Excuse the big D. He's not doing the Corona Zeros today. He's doing the alcohol-free Copperbergs. Don't drink, kids. Be like the big D. 0%. But yeah, Kobbie Mainoo should be playing. I don't know. I find it weird that Man United have only got 3 central midfielders in a squad that requires 4. I mean, you could class Mason Mount as a central midfielder. But he's been playing as a number 10. Do you know what? I want to find out once and for all what Mason Mount's actual position is. I'm going to ask my lovely AI assistant. Lovely AI assistant, can you please tell me specifically what position Mason Mount plays his best football, whether it be for England, Manchester United or Chelsea, and what kind of midfielder he is? Let's see what she says. I don't like him at number 10, Mason Mount. I really don't. There we go. So, my lovely assistant calls Mason Mount an advanced central midfielder, a number 8 with freedom, specifically a right-sided number 8 in a 4-3-3, or an attacking central midfielder in a 3-4-2-1. Right, yeah, okay, so he should be in the centre. He can also play as a left-sided number 10, which he has been doing for Ruben Amorim, or as a false 10? A false 10? I didn't even know those existed. Now, when he was playing for Chelsea, under Tuchel and Lampard, where they got his best football, he played as a high-energy number 8, or as a left-sided number 10 in a 3-4-2-1. His peak output was creativity, pressing, late runs into the box, often drifted wide left to combine or overload. At United, he's been deployed deeper at times in double pivots, which stifles him. He struggles in a rigid 4-2-3-1 unless given freedom. His pressing and movement are still assets, but not maximised yet. For England, he's usually used off the left or as an attacking number 8, overlooked recently due to competition from Bellingham and Foden. Now, what kind of a midfielder is Mason Mount? It says here he's a box-to-box creator. Tactical hybrid. Presses like a defensive midfielder, creates like a number 10. Strengths: elite off-ball movement, pressing trigger, smart link-up play, and can chip in with goals and assists. Weaknesses: not a deep playmaker, not physically dominant, can drift in and out of games without the ball. Summary: Mason Mount is not a pure number 10, nor a sitting central midfielder. He's a modern, industrious number 8 who thrives when allowed to press, roam, link up, and attack late. A bit like Gundogan with a Chelsea accent. My lovely AI assistant has got a sense of humour, it seems. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. So why is Ruben Amorim not playing him at number 8? And it's weird. When he's fit, he's got a number 8 playing at number 10, and he's got a number 10 playing at number 8. And the number 10 that's been playing at number 8 has got number 8 on the back of his shirt. How weird is that? Honestly, the Big D's not shouting at you, my 3 viewers. He's really not. He's just a little bit frustrated because he thinks football is a very simple game, but it's made complicated by idiots. We need a central midfielder, and Mason Mount could be that person. So it should be Ugarte and Casemiro fighting it out for that more defensive midfield berth. And then it should be Mason Mount and Kobbie Mainoo fighting it out for the number 8 position. I don't know why they're not. I really don't understand. I'd love to have a little chat with Ruben Amorim, just so he can give us an idea of what's on his mind with this 3-4-3, because it seems to me he's overthinking it. But anyway, that's the Big D's thoughts on that. But yeah, what else we got here? So apparently, as well, the players are losing faith in Ruben Amorim's 3-4-3. Apparently, I think all the United fans are losing faith in the 3-4-3, if you ask me. It says here, according to the Daily Mail, Man United's players are losing confidence in Ruben Amorim's system. The Sun is also reporting that some of the United squad are not sold on Amorim's 3-4-2-1 formation, while the Daily Mirror say he is fighting to retain the confidence of his players following the 3-0 defeat at Manchester City. However, the Daily Telegraph is reporting that the club's hierarchy shares Amorim's view that the club's worst start to a Premier League season for 33 years has masked some of the improvements in the team. Well, I mean, there is a little bit of truth to that because there have been a cultural shift at Manchester United. A little bit, to be fair. You know, getting rid of like players that had bad attitudes and things like that, like Rashford and Sancho and Garnacho, etc. So, you start with the culture. The culture changes the attitude changes performance changes results. So hopefully we are on the brink of turning a corner. But that's about it, really, for the news, so to speak. Just checking to see if there's anything that hasn't been covered. There is one little thing here. There is said to be interest in Ruben Amorim from elsewhere, with João Noronha Lopes, the leading candidate to become Benfica's next president, stepping up his pursuit to bring him back to the club, according to the Times. Well, I mean, fair enough. But the last thing I heard about Benfica was that they were trying to get Jose Mourinho to take over at the Stadium of Light. I think that's what Benfica Stadium's called, the Stadium of Light. But there you go. Anyway, so that's the latest news with United. We've talked about the revenue. We've talked about Kobbie to Newcastle. We've briefly talked about players losing faith. Now we're just going to chill out and have a little bit of fun. Okay, so we're going to talk about a few things now. We're going to talk about name one player from a rival that you would like to see playing for Manchester United in this current system. The only caveat being they need to be a player that we need. So you can't just say we need, I don't know, Jamal Musiala, who plays at number 10 for Bayern Munich. We've got that many number 10s, so we don't need Jamal Musiala. But you might think we need another number 9, a more experienced number 9 to help bring along Benjamin Sesko, right? So you might say Lewandowski, for instance, because Barcelona have been a rival at United. You might say Declan Rice from Arsenal. Point being, I want to hear or see in the chat your picks of one player from a rival. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, I want to hear your most outrageous footballing opinion, wherever that may be. For instance, you might think Eric Cantona is overrated or was overrated. You might think Thierry Henry was overrated. You might think Dennis Bergkamp was overrated. But those are my ideas. So the Big D's got 3 controversial, outrageous footballing opinions. Whatever they are, I want to hear from yours. And the Big D is going to tell you about his in more depth in just a moment. Also, we're going to go through some players who were, it's going to be called baller or fraud. So we're going to talk about some players and we're going to discuss whether or not they were ballers or whether or not they were frauds. Okay? And finally, we're going to discuss who we would like to see take over from Ruben Amorim, realistically. And we'll talk about how they might sort of line Man United up next season. Okay, so bear all of that in mind. If you've got any questions, any thoughts, any comments, please put it in the chat. The Big D reads all of the chat and he's always interested in what is on your mind. Anyway, one player from a rival. Well, in my opinion, the only position that we really need to be improving is central midfield at the moment. I think everywhere else is strong. If we get that one player in central midfield, then hopefully it would knit everything together. So that's my opinion. Central midfielder. So the one player from a rival, I mean, so we're talking a box-to-box midfielder, really. Because Ugarte is all right. Casemiro is all right. Kobbie Mainoo's not getting the game, as we've discussed. And Mason Mount's being played out of position for some stupid reason. And he's got Bruno Fernandes playing in that position for some stupid reason. So, it's got to be... I'm thinking Rodri, but Rodri is... I don't know, he's more of an anchor. We don't need an anchor. I'm thinking Declan Rice. He's a little bit like Rodri, a little bit. But he's a little bit more box to box. So I'm leaning towards Declan Rice. But I also like Camavinga at Real Madrid. And I like Jude Bellingham. Now, Jude Bellingham can play there, but does he have the defensive discipline to play at number 8? Because that's the position, really. It's that number 8, box to box. So we could go down that route, potentially. I'll tell you what we'll do. We're going to ask my lovely AI as well. Name the top 5 best box-to-box midfielders in world football right now. Let's see what my lovely AI assistant says. I'm leaning towards Declan Rice at this point. Okay. Name another 5. It's an interesting little list. My lovely AI assistant is saying Jude Bellingham. It says that he embodies almost every trait you want in a modern box-to-box midfielder. Strong in challenges, excellent driving runs from deep, creative passing, plus goal involvement. Even when asked to play a little higher, he can adapt to different roles. He can still cover ground, defend, attack, make decisive plays. Moises Caicedo, usually more of a defensive midfielder, but he has shown strong box-to-box ability. He can break up play, cover a lot of ground, recover balls, and also make forward contributions. It's got Bruno Fernandes for some reason. It's got Kevin De Bruyne. He's not a box-to-box midfielder. He can barely walk these days. Pedri's more of an attacking midfielder, it's saying here, but it is saying Declan Rice. Declan Rice combines defensive solidity with good passing, stamina, and has been increasingly involved in forward transitions. He covers a lot of ground, helps in tackles and interceptions, and also supports going forward. Interesting. And there's also Valverde at Real Madrid. Valverde is one of the cleanest examples currently of a hybrid engine in midfield. He can drop deep when defending, break up play, then surge forward with runs, contribute goals, and help in wide areas occasionally. He gives Real Madrid vertically. He gives Real Madrid vertically. No, he gives Real Madrid verticality. Is that even a word? And well, okay, verticality and energy, covering a lot of ground. Bruno Guimaraes. Interesting. Yeah, he's all right. Bruno combines defensive work with attacking output. He transitions smoothly from helping out defensively to attacking support, making him a top-tier two-way midfielder. It's also got Odegaard on the list. I don't like Odegaard. He's number 10 anyway. Now, I like these two players. It's got Nicolo Barella from Inter Milan. Barella is well known for his energy, tackling, movement, and ability to contribute both ends of the pitch. He's got a great engine and intelligence and often plays box-to-box, especially in systems where he's asked to both defend and join attacks. It's also got Sandro Tonali from Newcastle as well. He has become more versatile, while often labelled more of a deep-lying central midfielder. He has shown his capability to cover ground, press, carry forward, and link play in ways that resemble box-to-box work. Well, okay, fair enough. I really like Nicolo Barella, but I'm not going to go with him because I don't consider Inter Milan a major rival to United. I'm not going to go with Tonali because I don't consider Newcastle United a major rival to Man United either. So that rules out Bruno Guimaraes as well. Real Madrid, I'd say, are a rival to Man United, historically anyway. But I'm not going to pick Valverde. Declan Rice is a shout. Do you know what? Yeah, okay. I'm going to go with Jude Bellingham. Yeah, it has to be Jude Bellingham, really, because is Jude Bellingham the best midfielder in the world today? Probably. Yeah, I'm going to stick with Jude Bellingham. So that would mean then, so he would be my one player from a rival that I would sign for Manchester United if money was no object. And that would mean we would have a midfield consisting of, including the wing backs, Mazraoui, especially after his performance at the weekend. I thought he played quite well at right wing back. He's got a good delivery and he's a fine athlete and he can tackle. Mazraoui on right wing back. I'd have Dorgu on the left wing back, and I'd have Jude Bellingham alongside Manuel Ugarte. Now, I think that's a high energy midfield that's balanced quite well, and I think that would work well with Bruno a bit further forward alongside, say, Mbeumo and Cunha, and bring Sesko off the bench for the final 20 minutes for the first season or two. And then obviously next season, the season after, Bruno Fernandes will be sold to Saudi Arabia for 150 million or whatever, and then that would free up some space for other people. So yeah, that would be my one player from a rival. Excuse the big D. Remember, thoughts in the chat. The big D reads all of the chat, and he's always interested in what is on your mind. And he's very interested in who your one player from a rival would be to help improve this current Manchester United team. So that's that. Okay. So, my most outrageous footballing opinion. My most outrageous footballing opinion. I think I've got three, really. I think Thierry Henry's overrated. I think Dennis Bergkamp's overrated for the same reason as Thierry Henry. And also, I think Eric Cantona was overrated as well. Now, yeah, might as well tell you. So I think Thierry Henry is overrated, and I'll tell you why. Now, I'm not saying Thierry Henry was crap. He wasn't crap. He was a brilliant player. But when I say overrated, people talk about Thierry Henry like he was the best of the best, and he wasn't. He wasn't Ronaldinho level. He wasn't Zidane level. He wasn't, he wasn't Wayne Rooney level. He wasn't Roy Keane level. He wasn't Messi. Certainly wasn't Messi and Ronaldo level at all. But he was a very, very good player. But the way people talk about him, you would think he was the second coming of, I don't know, Michel Platini or something like that, or Just Fontaine, or whoever, I don't know, some amazing striker, and he just wasn't. Now, the reason I think he's overrated is because to be the best of the best, you have to be, excuse me, you have to be the main man in the best team that wins the biggest trophies, and you need to make the difference in the biggest matches and win the biggest trophies as the main man in the best team. Okay? So that means, for instance, Lionel Messi was the main man at Barcelona and he won everything at Barcelona. And everything went through him and he's got big goals in big games consistently and made the difference in numerous cup finals and league deciders, etc., etc. Cristiano Ronaldo did the same thing at Real Madrid and he did the same thing at Manchester United. Zinedine Zidane did the same thing at Real Madrid and for France. Pele did the same thing for Brazil. Maradona did the same thing for Napoli and he did the same thing for Argentina, etc., etc., etc. Right? Now, but Thierry Henry was brilliant against Sunderland, against Charlton, against Spurs, against all the little crap teams that he could bully and take the piss out of, kind of thing. That's what Thierry Henry was good at. But when it came to the biggest games against the best teams, he was just found a little bit wanting, right? And I mean, he did do quite well against some big teams at certain times, but he didn't really make the difference to get the team over the line and to win those big trophies. Now, he has won the big trophies, but he was not the main man in those teams. Okay, so when he did win his Champions League title, he played second fiddle to Lionel Messi. When he won his World Cup, in fact, did he win the World Cup? Was he in the squad? And the fact that I even have to ask that question just shows you, just says something. Point being, when he won anything with France, he always played second fiddle to Zinedine Zidane. Okay. So brilliant player, yes. Very important squad member, yes. Certainly helped teams win major titles, yes. But was he the main man? Was he the best in the world at any given point? No, he wasn't. And that's why I think Thierry Henry is not as good as what people make out. Gareth Bale was better. He scored some brilliant goals in the biggest games for Real Madrid, and he stood out in a team that had Ronaldo and Benzema and Modric and Toni Kroos in it as well. So he was class. Wayne Rooney was the main man at United, or certainly, well, he certainly scored a lot of big goals in big games. And had it not been for an injury, he probably would have got a Ballon d'Or nomination at one year. And a similar thing for England as well. And he also, well, as I say, Wayne Rooney scored big goals in big games. Now, just to add to the Thierry Henry thing, now Thierry Henry had the opportunity to become the main man, and he did get close to it. I'll give him that. He got close to being the main man for Arsenal in the 2006 Champions League final. Arsenal were 1-0 up. He was through on goal. He was 1-on-1 with the keeper. And if he'd put that ball in the back of the net, Arsenal would have went 2-0 up against Barcelona, and they probably would have won the Champions League. And if he'd done that, then quite rightly, he would have deserved the Ballon d'Or, and Arsenal would have won the Champions League. But he put it wide. And that's the difference. It's those instances that separate the good players from the great ones. And that's why Thierry Henry didn't do that. Zidane would have scored that. Messi would have scored that. Ronaldo would have scored that. Henry missed. And unfortunately, that's the difference. But it's all right. That's all right. That's all right. He's still a brilliant player. He was still beautiful to watch. And here's something else as well. And this is going to feed into the Dennis Bergkamp sort of argument as well. Because people, when it comes to football, people often confuse aesthetics with effectiveness. Okay? Now, when people talk about Thierry Henry, when people talk about Andy Cole, for instance, who played for Man United, who is the fourth all-time top scorer in Premier League history, they don't often talk about him in the same breath as Thierry Henry. But Andy Cole scored more goals than Thierry Henry. But most of them were tap-ins. But he did score some good goals. But Thierry Henry was more beautiful to watch. The goals that he did score were amazing. So the fact that he could paint a pretty picture on the pitch, for instance, made him look 20% better than what he actually was, right? So if we're talking about Thierry Henry in terms of the best footballer in the world to watch, then fair enough. He's probably in with a shout as being the most entertaining footballer. Certainly on the list. And so fine. Aesthetically speaking, he's one of the best. But football is about results at the end of the day, right? So, and results underpin, well, they should underpin awards, trophies, and all of that kind of stuff. And as I say, Thierry Henry, beautiful as he was to watch, just didn't quite get the results that he needed to get him over the line as being the best player in the world. He was a more pretty Andy Cole. That's what I like to call Thierry Henry. But yeah, so that's that. And yeah, so Dennis Bergkamp, a similar kind of thing, really. Dennis Bergkamp was, again, very pretty to watch. He was silky skills. And I mean, That goal against Newcastle when he was about 34 or something in 2002, when he was almost like a ballet dancer, and he just done the little flicks and spun around the defender and all of that, and then slotted it into the goal, then past the Newcastle goalkeeper, was absolutely electric. Fair enough. And his hat trick against Leicester in the '98 season was magic. Fine. But again, I mean, he was the best player in the league in 1998, right? Fine, he was. But the Premier League wasn't the best league in the world. If he was doing that for a top Italian team in Serie A, then fair enough, you could class him as being one of the best players in the world, but he wasn't. In fact, he had his little stint in Italy with Inter Milan, and he was a flop. You know, now you could argue that maybe he wasn't suited to the the defensive kind of football there, and he suited the attacking style of England. Fair enough, but still, the English league wasn't the best league in the world at the time. I mean, he did score a really good goal for Holland in the '98 World Cup. Okay, fair enough, but he didn't win the World Cup, did he? Did he win a Champions League? I don't think he won a Champions League. Do you know what? That's a good question. Tell me about Dennis Bergkamp's team and individual honours. Let's see what it says here. I mean, he was a good player. I like him. He was entertaining to watch, but I wouldn't say he was the best. Okay. Well, all right, fair enough. He done quite well. For Ajax, he won the Cup Winners' Cup in '87, and he won the UEFA Cup in '91-92. And he won it with Inter Milan in '93-94. And to be fair, actually, do you know what? I'm going to give him a little bit more credit, actually, because I didn't know this. The UEFA Cup back then, in like '94 and in '92, and the Cup Winners' Cup back in the day, they were actually big trophies back then. So I've got to give him his due on that one. I mean, was he the main man? For those sides? He's got 37 goals for Holland in 79 appearances. Da-da-da-da-da. When he won his trophies for Ajax, was he the main man of the team, or was he just part of the squad? Let's see what it says here. So when he won the Cup Winners' Cup in '87, he was a squad player, and this was under Johan Cruyff as well, actually. He was a regular starter when he won the Dutch League in 1990, but he only scored 9 goals. Between 90 and 93, he was the main man. He scored 25 goals in the 90 to 91 season. He was top scorer again in 91-92. And yeah, fair enough. He was the main man for Ajax, and he scored 6 goals in the tournament when they won the UEFA Cup. And he was top scorer in the Dutch League 3 years in a row. Yeah, he was the main man. Fair enough. Now, fair enough. That was Ajax. Now, and he did well in the UEFA Cup, so we'll give him that. What happened at Inter Milan? Why didn't it work out, or did it? Let's see what it says here against Inter Milan, because the Big D could be talking rubbish here, you know. And I will be the first to stand myself in a corner. So he was at Inter Milan for 2 years, between 93 and 95, and it's described here as mixed. And it's generally considered a disappointment. Inter Milan signed him for 7.1 million. making him one of the most expensive players in the world at the time. He arrived with huge expectations at Inter Milan as the best player in Holland, 3 Dutch titles and a UEFA Cup winner. Inter were trying to rebuild their team after poor league performances, and Bergkamp was seen as the man to lead them forward, along with fellow signing Wim Jonk. That's a good name, that, isn't it? Wim Jonk. Why it didn't work out? Okay. Oh, right. So the 5 reasons why it didn't work out. 1, Italian football was ultra defensive. Bergkamp thrived on space, freedom, and fluid play, which was in short supply in Italy. He was often marked tightly, denied space, and didn't have the platform to play his natural creative game. Well, I don't know. I think they're using that as an excuse, really, because Roberto Baggio found space okay in Italian football. And Del Piero as well, all these creative flair players. So, why couldn't Dennis Bergkamp? Number 2, the team was dysfunctional. Inter were not a stable club at the time. They had 3 different coaches in 2 years. The team lacked chemistry and a consistent system. Fair enough, we'll give him that. Language and cultural barriers. Fair enough, we'll give him that. Harsh Italian media. Well, you're going to get that everywhere. Injuries and form. He had minor injuries and also didn't hit form consistently. His confidence dipped. He wasn't scoring regularly, and the fans and media quickly turned on him. But it wasn't a total failure. He did help Inter win the UEFA Cup in '94, scoring 6 goals in the tournament, including important goals in the earlier rounds. But he only scored 11 goals in 50 Serie A matches. Wow. Wow. Okay, fair enough. I'll give him a little bit more credit. We'll give Dennis Bergkamp a little bit more credit. I'm going to take him off my list of most overrated players. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Seeing as he'd done well in the UEFA Cup, he won 2 UEFA Cups and a Cup Winners' Cup, and he was brilliant at Ajax, and he did all of that at Ajax, or most of that at Ajax, so fair enough. We'll give him that. I'm going to humbly withdraw that statement that Dennis Bergkamp was overrated. Because, no, fine. Big game, big player, fair enough. Eric Cantona. I'm a United fan. This is a United fan channel. Eric Cantona was overrated. I'm sorry to say. He was. Because Eric Cantona was the best player in England while he was at United, without a shadow of a doubt. And he was he's the most influential Premier League player. Or, well, alongside Roy Keane, maybe. But, again, the Premier League wasn't the best league in the world at the time. And if he'd been doing all of that stuff for, AC Milan in Serie A, then fair enough. If he was winning Champions Leagues with United, then fair enough. If he was winning World Cups with France, then fair enough. But he didn't do any of those things. So I can't really say that Eric Cantona was world class, and he wasn't. So I have to say he wasn't. He wasn't world class, and he was a little bit overrated because Alex Ferguson says that he was one of 4. I see what you put there, JG7, and you've given me a thumbs down. Why have you given me a thumbs down? That can't be you. And Boomo is this: Cantina is overrated. Get in the bin. He's over Eric Cantona, JG7. And you can get that thumbs down off that little reaction if you don't mind, please. But Eric Cantona is considered by Alex Ferguson as one of only 4 truly world-class players that he ever had. And Eric Cantona wasn't world-class. He just wasn't. He didn't win the Champions League. He didn't win a World Cup. He didn't win a top-flight league title Now, I know he's won the league in England, he's won the Premier League, but when he won the Premier League, it was the third or fourth best league in the world at the time. So he didn't quite do it. So now he had his chance in 97 when United got that run to the 97 Champions League semi-final when we got beat 1-0 twice by Dortmund. And he was the main man. And he was the main man. But, as previously stated with my Thierry Henry argument, Eric Cantona didn't make the difference in those two semi-final matches. And that's what the best in the world do. They make the difference in the biggest games to get their team over the line and win the biggest trophies. And unfortunately, Eric didn't quite do it. So, and he used to go missing in some of those big European ties. I remember when the team was built around him against Juventus that season, and he didn't do anything. It was the players all around him that was doing all the legwork. Like Beckham, I remember Beckham playing well, and Keno and all those guys, and Schmeichel. But Eric, unfortunately, JG just wasn't world class. So those are my 3 outrageous footballing opinions. 2 of which I stand by, 1 of which I retract. So I retracted the statement that Dennis Bergkamp was overrated. I retract it. Good player. Thierry Henry, overrated. Eric Cantona, overrated. And that's what the Big D has to say. Now, what we're going to do now is... Now, remember, you guys who are watching, thoughts in the chat. The Big D reads all of the chat, and he's always interested in what is on your mind. The Big D wants to know, what one player from a rival would you like to see in the current Manchester United team? And the Big D wants to know what some of your most outrageous opinions are. Thoughts in the chat. Anyway, what we are going to do now is we are going to look at baller or fraud. I've got a little list of some players here, and I'm going to discuss whether or not they are ballers or frauds. So we're going to start with Phil Foden. So the split opinion is he world class or is he overhyped by the English media? Now that's a good question. Some fans say he's a generational talent. Other fans say he only shines in a system Pep built. See, that's the thing, isn't it? I think Phil Foden is world class under the right conditions. So it's a little bit of both. I don't think he's overhyped. I don't think he's hyped at all, to be quite frank. I think he's sort of described quite accurately because he's not really a flash player. He doesn't give it the big un or anything like that. He seems like a really nice, down-to-earth lad. He reminds me a little bit of Paul Scholes in that he's just... There's a certain humility to him, or Paul Scholes the player, that is. And he's gifted, and excuse the big D. It's getting that time again, Christmas time. You have to put the heat on. Is he a generational talent? Yes, he's brilliant. He's brilliant. But I do get the sense that the team needs to be well drilled. He's not like a Cole Palmer. You can put Cole Palmer in any team. Cole Palmer reminds me of Matt Letizia. You put Matt Letizia in any team and he'll stand out and he'll carry the team to make them better than what they actually are. I don't get the sense that Phil Foden's that kind of player. Phil Foden needs to be in a team that's well drilled, that knows exactly what's going on, and he shines in the parameters of that well-drilled tactical machine. And he stands out when he does it as well, so fair enough. So he would slot in very well in any of those Pep Guardiola teams, no problem at all. I think he would slot in well in a Yeah, I probably would slot in a Jurgen Klopp team, in a Hansi Flick team, no problem. I think he would probably do well in a Ruben Amorim system as well. Um, maybe, but I don't think he would do well in a Mourinho team or an Ollie team because I don't. I mean, is Phil Foden a fast player? I don't think he is. He suits that possession-based football, really, doesn't he? So yeah, yeah. And I don't really think of him as being like an outrageous kind of footballer. Like what Matt Letizia used to be like. Like you do something, you'd be like, "Well, where did that come from?" Cole Palmer's a bit like that, as I say. But Phil Foden kind of does what he does exceptionally well in an exceptional, well drilled system. But the question is he a baller or is he a fraud? Well, I think in Phil Foden's case, Phil Foden is a baller. So we'll give him that. Footballer number 2, baller or fraud? Paul Pogba. Split opinion. Was he ever really elite at United or just a flashy brand? Fans say the 2018 World Cup winner is a magician versus other fans who say he's lazy, disruptive, inconsistent, and a fraud. Well, this is a good question, isn't it? The thing is with Paul Pogba, I don't think we'll ever truly know if he was a baller, really, because he was too injury prone. He was always, always, always injured. And even when he got a run of games, that is, he'd be brilliant in one and then he'd go missing for 5. But there was a period at United, probably his first 18 months, where he was actually really good. And there was a bit of momentum around him. And he was playing well. He won the Europa League with us. But then he got a bad injury and he was out for about 6 weeks. And we were neck and neck with City. But then when he got his injury, the team suffered and, we ended up coming second by about 18 points behind Man City. So, but he did well for France. But then again, I mean, the team wasn't really built around him. I mean, it was just a class team. That was Griezmann's team, really. Griezmann, Kante, they were the spine of that team. I really, really, really wanted Paul Pogba to do really well at Man United. Because I really like to see talented players excel and make the most of their talent. And the thing is with Paul Pogba, he was exceptionally talented, but he didn't fulfill his potential. So I'm sorry, Paul Pogba is going under the fraud bracket. Because he was talented, but he never lived up to it. And he was a flashy brand. He was like McDonald's. When you see the picture of McDonald's on the menu screen, it looks succulent, it looks brilliant. But when you get it, it's just fast food, really, isn't it? Final baller or fraud? Marcus Rashford. Split opinion. Local academy hero or inconsistent luxury player? Fancy one of our own, electric on his day versus poor decision making, only turns up once every 10 games. Yes, Marcus Rashford indeed. See, Marcus Rashford has left a bitter taste in a lot of Man United fans' mouths, unfortunately, with his sort of overall form and attitude over the past 2 years, really, ever since he got his big flashy contract. He certainly had the talent. He was really good at certain points at United. And there was one season where he was the main man at United when he scored 30-odd goals, and he was class. And he works well in a very specific kind of system. He was good under Ollie, and unlike Phil Foden, Marcus Rashford doesn't necessarily need to be in a well-drilled team to excel. He needs open spaces, and he needs a certain amount of freedom to be able to express, his best football, really. And I can't see him doing it at Barcelona because it just seems a little bit too restrictive for him, a bit like Eric Ten Hag's style. Eric Ten Hag would probably be a very good Barcelona manager. Because obviously it's that Dutch style at Barcelona, really, isn't it? And Marcus Rashford, he suits the counter-attacking style. It's no coincidence that he used to do really well against Man City, especially under Ollie, who's got the best record against Pep Guardiola of any manager in the world. So Marcus Rashford, you get him in the right system, and Marcus Rashford when he was younger, and he's won a lot of trophies, really, Marcus, if you look back. He's won everything with United except the league and the Champions League, but he won the Europa League, he's won the FA Cup, he's won the League Cup. So he's done quite well. He's got a lot of goals, to be fair, considering he was a winger. Is he overrated? Is he a baller? Is he overrated? I don't think he's overrated. Because, no, I think he's flirted with world-class status, but he's never quite made it. I think he's a good footballer. Sometimes very good. Luxury player, inconsistent luxury player. I mean, looking back, maybe we just sort of expected too much from him. Was he a baller? Was he a fraud? I think the answer lies somewhere in between, really, because he wasn't a fraud. He wasn't a fraud. There were some moments that were really good. I mean, he stepped up to the plate against Paris Saint-Germain when he scored the penalty that knocked them out in the Parc des Princes. Scored some good goals against Liverpool, won the Europa League with United, scored 30 goals in that one season under Ten Hag. No, he's definitely not a fraud, but he's not a baller either. He's just a good player. We'll just leave it at that. Because to be a baller, there needs to be a certain level of achievement and a certain consistent standard of football. So, of the three that we've talked about, Phil Foden, Paul Pogba and Marcus Rashford, Phil Foden is the baller, brilliant player on his day, absolutely fantastic, won everything with Pep at Man City, still got years to go, and he put United to the sword at the weekend, so fair enough, and he's done it before in the past as well. So he's been. I mean, he's had a bit of a crap 12 months or so, but Man City have been crap generally, so that's just one of those things. But Phil Foden is a good player. He's a baller. There's magic in his game. Paul Pogba is a fraud. Didn't live up to the hype, and Marcus Rashford was just. We just expected far too much from Marcus Rashford. So yeah, that is the Big D's footballer or fraud. Remember, thoughts in the chat. The Big D reads all of the chat, and he's always interested in what is on your mind. The Big D wants to know, what one player could you choose from a rival if money was no object and they would come? The Big D wants to know what your most outrageous footballing opinions are. And he also wants to know which footballers you think are ballers and which footballers you think are frauds. And the Big D is just going to quickly go for a quick drink. And then we are going to talk about what manager would we like to from Amorim if he gets sacked in, well, 6 weeks or January or the summer. But we've got a little list here, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But the Big Z is just going to get a top up. Back in a sec. The old alcohol-frees. Alcohol-free Copperberg. It's just expensive pop, really. 0%. Don't drink, kids. Be like the Big D. If you want to achieve something in life, like a Man United YouTube channel, with closing in on 10,000 subscribers, alcohol will get in the way of that. So you want alcohol-free, kids. But I'll tell you what, I really like these alcohol-free Copperbergs. They're really tasty, really tangy. Much better than, say, Coca-Cola or out like that. And plus, tastes just like actual alcoholic cider. But you don't get the hangover the next day. But anyway, yeah, so, I mean, Ruben Amorim, let's see, he's got about, I would say he's got 4 games to save his job. He needs to win. Let's see what the fixtures are. So we've got Chelsea at the weekend. It's Chelsea at home as well. Yeah, I got offered a ticket for that. He's got Chelsea at the weekend. He's got Brentford away the following week. And then Sunderland the week after that. And then Liverpool away the week after that. So he needs... he needs a result against those 3 teams. But he also needs a performance as well. So Chelsea are the world champions. But Chelsea are still beatable. I mean, Brentford away will be a tricky game. And then we've got Sunderland at home as well. I mean, it's going to be tricky, to be fair, against those teams with the current form. But United needs results and he needs a performance. It's no good scraping a 1-0 or a 2-1 or a 3-2. He needs to batter Sunderland. He needs a good, solid victory against Brentford, and any kind of win or a draw against Chelsea would be fine, as long as the performance is there as well. Because if he goes into that Liverpool game away at Anfield, like scraping some results against the previous 3, then there's a very good chance we'll get battered by Liverpool. And if that happens, then I think his days are numbered at Manchester United. I mean, I hope it's not the case. I hope he finally sees sense and plays Kobbie Mainoo, and then that adds a certain balance to the team in midfield. But whether or not that happens, if he's just going to be stubborn, then he could just be stubborn. And then if he's stubborn, I don't know, he might get sacked. But if he does turn things around, you never know. Things just might click. We might get a result against Chelsea, and then the season's away. And then we're off to the races. It's boring watching Man United at the moment. It's so frustrating. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's meant to be Manchester United. They're meant to be entertaining to watch, and they're meant to be getting results. I mean, the talent that we've got in the team. I mean, I don't buy this notion that Man United are a mid-table team. We're not a mid-table team. Sesko is an emerging talent, and Bumo and Cunha are class. Bruno's world-class. Ugarte is a solid player. Casemiro's got the experience. Dalot's a good player. He's a good player. I'm not saying he's world-class, but he's a good player. Mazraoui's a good player. De Ligt's class. There's a lot of talent in that Man United team. They should be doing a lot better. And he needs to get some results. But if he doesn't, and if he does get sacked, I would say there are 4 prime candidates for the United job. 4. Those are Antonio Conte. I could see him leaving Napoli to come to Manchester United. And for a couple of reasons. One, he's already won the Premier League with Chelsea, and he was brilliant, and he's proven that, and he's won the league in Italy a few times as well. He's won it with Juventus a couple of instances, and he's now won it with Napoli. He's managed to get the best out of Scott McTominay and Romelu Lukaku as well. And he seems to be getting the best out of Rasmus Højlund as well. He scored in his debut. So he's a good manager. He's very, very good manager. But also, he plays 3-4-3. So this squad that we're building for Ruben Amorim, the 3-4-3 system, Antonio Conte could quite easily slide in there and just sort of pick the ball up and move forward. So that would be all right. And hopefully, Antonio Conte puts the proper players in their proper positions. None of this Bruno Fernandes playing at number 8. So that's a possibility. Antonio Conte would be, I think he would be the favourite to come to United, to be quite frank. And understandably so. Proven track record. The squad's built for him. Doesn't put up with any egos or nonsense. Antonio Conte would be, in my opinion, the number 1 odds on to become the next Manchester United manager if Ruben Amorim is sacked or he leaves. The next one, long shot. I think this would only happen if Amorim is sacked in January, and that would be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He could quite easily come in, take over, have a little bit more of add a little bit of a feel-good factor at United for 6 months and crack on. He's already got a proven track record in the Premier League, whether you like it or not. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was consistent and solid as a manager for Manchester United. 2 full seasons. Season number 1, he came 3rd. Season number 2, he came 2nd and got to the Europa League final. And he played the most exciting Manchester United football since Alex Ferguson. And this squad would be ideal for him as well. Because he could quite easily... I mean, the back 4 is better than the back 4 that he had. You could argue that the midfield's better than what he had. And you could argue that it's a much better squad than the squad that he had. Right? Because if you think about it, like, in all his best season, which was his 2nd full season, he had De Gea in the nets. He had Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof and Luke Shaw. That was the back 4. And he had Fred and McTominay, central midfield. He had Bruno at number 10, and Bruno played his best football under Ollie as well, by the way. He had Mason Greenwood on the right, with Rashford on the left and Martial up front. Okay? So, fair enough, the goalkeeper situation hasn't improved since De Gea. That's fine. Dalot, is he any better than Wan-Bissaka? Let's say they were on par, roughly speaking. I would say Mazraoui is a better right back than Aaron Wan-Bissaka, right? And then Maguire and Lindelof was Ollie's. Who've we got? De Ligt and Yoro. I would say that's a better central defensive partnership than Maguire and Lindelof, no problem. And then we've got Luke Shaw. We've still got Luke Shaw, but you've got Dorgu as well. So Dorgu's a pretty decent left back, and he looks to be the business, and he looks like he's got a lot of potential, does Dorgu. And then the 2 central midfielders, so McTominay and Fred. I would argue that Kobbie Mainoo and Casemiro are better than McTominay and Fred. I would argue that Ugarte and Mainoo, or Ugarte and Mason Mount, is better than McTominay and Fred. On the right, Mbeumo, I would say Mbeumo and Mason Greenwood were roughly on par, really. Mason Greenwood is a generational talent. He should still be at Manchester United, to be fair. But Mbeumo's brilliant. So there's been no decrease in ability on the right-hand side. On the left, well, you could play Cunha there as an inside forward. That wouldn't be a problem. Or you could put Dalot there as well, if you want. Bruno Fernandes, fantastic. Stick him in the middle. And then up front, Benjamin Sesko. Benjamin Sesko is better than Anthony Martial. So if Ole took over in January, he could quite easily come in there, get the best out of the players who are already there, and it would actually be a better team than the one that he had when he was in his pomp. Jose Mourinho. He Would he? I don't know. Would he be? Would he be a good signing? Maybe. Maybe. I think the team actually suits a Jose Mourinho structure. Yeah, I think it would. I think it would because he likes to play in the low block, absolutely solid defensively, and he likes to just get results. And there's enough talent in that team for Mourinho to be able to grind out results and carry United up that table. I think he'd play Mazraoui, he'd play De Ligt, he'd play Yoro, maybe even play Maguire and De Ligt, and he'd play Luke Shaw perhaps. And they would sit in the low block, and then he would put Casemiro and Ugarte sat in front of the back four, just anchoring, and then he'd give Cunha, Bruno, and then Mbeumo or Dalot free reign to just beat teams on the counter-attack, and Sesko would be his younger version of Zlatan Ibrahimovic up front. And I think that would suit Mourinho down to the ground, and I think there's plenty of players in the United team now that would actually suit Jose Mourinho and his sort of mental tactics, because he likes warriors, Mourinho, and Casemiro's a warrior, Ugarte is a warrior, De Ligt's a warrior as well. Bruno Fernandes, I think, will get on with Jose Mourinho, no problem. And I think Bruno Fernandes will get a little bit of a kick out of Mourinho trying to wind him up a little bit. So Mourinho would suit this squad that we've got. I mean, you've got to give credit where credit's due. Ineos have actually built a pretty decent squad. It's just whether or not we can get the manager to get them going in the right way, really. So Mourinho would be a shout as well. Now, let's have a little look at the chat. I can see it moving. Who's having the crack? Let's have a look. Chris Griffiths. Nice to hear from you, my friend. I see you've got the Man United Munich symbol there. The Ollie idea is romantic, but you should never go back to a dodgy firework as it could blow up in your face. No, I understand, Chris. Yeah, I get that. I'm just talking about if Ruben Amorim was to get sacked, which he could very well get sacked, particularly in January, then I'm just sort of talking about, potential replacements. Now, I did mention when it came to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it would be a case of it would only be for 6 months and actually be for 6 months this time. And that would only be if Ruben Amorim was sacked in January. So there'd be nothing wrong with Ollie taking over for 6 months. To be honest, that's all I was saying. I wasn't necessarily suggesting that Ollie should take over, a 5-year contract or something like that. I'm not saying that. But that's it. But I mean, he can't do any worse than what Ruben Amorim has currently done at Man United. The time Jose has passed. Park the bus football is long gone. He clashed with the players. Maybe. Bring back Ranić. He was right all along. Yeah, I mean, Ranić is a director of football. He should be brought back as a director of football. I mean, I don't know why they didn't do that in the first place, to be honest. But you're right, Ranić was right. I mean, he wanted us to sign Erling Haaland, Dusan Vlahovic, Luis Diaz, and Julian Alvarez. And some of those players we could have got cheap. In fact, but all of those players we could have got cheap at the time. So, yeah, Ranić. I used to like Ranić, but Ollie shouldn't have got sacked, and they put Ranić in the wrong role. They put him as manager, but he's not a manager. Not really. He's a doff. But finally, and this is an absolute long shot, but you never know. Zinedine Zidane. As far as I'm aware, he's available. Let's ask my lovely AI assistant. What is Zinedine Zidane doing these days? He's out of management for now. Zidane hasn't taken a head coaching role since he left Real Madrid in 21. He's turned down several offers, including from clubs in Saudi Arabia. He's eyeing the France job, apparently, with Didier Deschamps confirming that he'll step down as France manager after the 2026 World Cup. Zidane is viewed by many in the media and federation as a strong favourite to succeed him. He's expressed that managing Les Bleus is something he'd welcome. Reports say Zidane turned down a huge contract from Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia. He seems to be holding out for the right opportunity, ideally something significant. He's not just resting on his laurels, though. Zidane is investing in sports projects, including a network of Z5 centres for paddle, mini football, etc. in France, Italy and Spain. Oh, interesting. Tell me about Zinedine Zidane's managerial style. So Zidane used to play 4-3-3, if I remember correctly, at Real Madrid. Now this is interesting. It says here, Zinedine Zidane is a man-manager first and a tactician second. And that's interesting because Fergie used to allude to something like that. He used to say his greatest sort of ability was his communication skills. So it says here he's got elite level emotional IQ. He commands instant respect from top players. He keeps big egos happy, such as Ronaldo, Ramos, Benzema and Modric, etc. He's excellent at rotating squads and maintaining morale over long seasons. And a little quote here says, Zizou's genius is not in the system, it is the symphony. That was the Big D's brilliant French accent that he had to learn on the spot when he did an acting job about 10 years ago. Because as you know, my regular viewers, the Big D is a classically trained professional actor of 15 years. And I had to do an acting job once for Kellogg's Crunchy Nut commercials. And I was playing a French chocolatier. And I turned up on the job. They told me I had to learn a French accent on the job. And so what I did was, to learn the accent, was watch Eric Cantona's famous Seagulls Follow the Troller and press conference to get the French accent, which I used in the commercial. Little side note there. But yeah, that's what it says here. Chris, what you saying? In all seriousness, I'd like to see Glasner. Oh, is that the Crystal Palace manager? If we are to change, we are building a squad to play a versatile 3-4-3, and he's getting a decent tune out of Palace. Yes, he is. Chris Griffiths again. Zidane is wild. He's made no attempt to learn English and has never shown any ambition to join English teams. He will take over the France national team. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. But it's still nice to dream and hope, you know. And I mean, the squad that we're building at the moment, I mean, it is looking a strong squad. So you never know. You never know. Deschamps might turn around and say, do you know what? I'm going to stay in this job. And then, you know, what is Zidane going to wait another 4 years for that job? Probably not. But you never know. And as I say, Zinedine Zidane is an absolute long shot. But it says here, his tactical philosophy is flexibility over dogma, which would be ideal as well, because I'm sick of this system-based crap. Whether it's Pep Guardiola or Ruben Amorim or whoever, you know, you need a little bit of flexibility. But anyway, it says here he often uses a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2 diamond. He will adapt the shape based on the opponent. He's pragmatic rather than dogmatic. He trusts experienced players in big games, such as sticking with Kroos, Modric and Casemiro, and he likes fluid roles, e.g. full-backs overlapping while central mids drop in behind. He's more Ancelotti than Guardiola, less obsessed with patterns, more with control and rhythm. Now, The 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2 diamond would suit this United squad now, because we've got enough central defenders, we've got enough fullbacks to play a 4 at the back, no problem. Now 3 in midfield, no problem at all. We could have Bruno, Ugarte, Casemiro, or Mainoo, or Mount in there. Plenty of central midfielders to play the 3. And if we could play a narrow 3 up front, we could have Cunha, Sesko, Xerxes, or Mbeumo on the right side cutting in. So we could play 4-3-3, no problem at all. And the 4-4-2 diamond would work ideal as well. So you could have Sesko and Xerxes up front with Bruno at number 10. Or you could put Mbeumo up front. You could put Bruno as a Metzala, so the left-sided central midfielder, with Cunha at number 10, perhaps. With Mainoo on the right, Casemiro in the anchor role. You could stick Ugarte in there as well at some point. So, point being, the squad that we've got would suit any system that Zinedine Zidane could use if the long shot came true and he became Manchester United's next manager next summer. Chris, what you saying? Let's see. When the seagulls follow the trawler, it is because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. That's correct. Eric Cantona, what a character he was. Deschamps is a water carrier. He knows that he's on a cushy number with France. Exactly. And, France have had the best international squad in world football for about a decade now. So, where's he going to go? Is he going to go to Real Madrid? So, unless he's burnt out with the France job or he can't be bothered anymore, or maybe he gets pushed out. It depends. It depends if he wins the World Cup. If he wins the World Cup, he probably will go out on a high. But then again, he might want to win the Euros as well. But you're right. He's gonna know that he's on a cushy little number, because he'll be getting paid a pretty penny just to work part-time. And let's be honest, international managers, they work part-time. And is he going to want to work absolutely full-time for some big club? Because he'll get his shot at a big club, like Bayern Munich or something. And is he going to want to do that? And the thing is as well, with Zidane, because some managers are more suited to international football, whereas some other managers are suited to club football. Like Mourinho, he likes to be involved in the day-to-day stuff. Pep Guardiola, the day-to-day stuff, consistently. Whereas some people just don't like the part-time aspect of international football. But you never know. But yeah, what else are you saying? I like fluid rolls. Cheese, ham with a bit of mayonnaise. Yum. Yeah. Good. 4-1-2-3, Casemiro, Ugarte, Mainoo, Cunha, Sesko and Big Brian. Hot take, I'd sell Bruno. Do you know what? I'm hearing more and more of that, really. I wouldn't sell Bruno. But I reckon he'll probably go next year. He needs to play at number 10, but we're not going to get into that. How are we looking for time? Big D's been rabbiting on for an hour and a half. That's longer than most Hollywood films. I tell you what, I even baffle myself with how much I can talk. My dad would say I talk absolute shite, Dominic. That's the Big D's name. Dominic, that's what the D stands for, you dirty-minded people. It was nothing else. Anyway, but yeah, the Big D's been talking for a while, but the Big D is going to start to wrap up because the Big D is going to watch a film. Anyway, we're going to get back to the assessment of Zinedine Zidane. So he likes defensive solidity and transitional play. He's not ultra attacking. He prefers balance. He values compact shape, intelligent pressing triggers, deadly on counters, especially during the Ronaldo era, and he uses his midfield to dictate tempo, not just press or pass for the sake of it. He's got a big game mentality and calm presence. He exudes composure under pressure. He transmits this to his players, and he's got an outstanding record in Champions League knockouts, obviously. 3 Champions League wins in a row. No one had won 3 Champions Leagues in a row. Well, in the Champions League era. Has anyone won back-to-back outside of them? I mean, United came close. Yeah, no one's won back-to-back Champions Leagues. Except for Zinedine Zidane at Real Madrid. And then before him, it was Saki at AC Milan 89 and 90. Before him, Brian Clough, Nottingham Forest. Before him, it was Bayern Munich. They won 3 in a row in the old European Cup. Before him, or them, it was Ajax, Rinus Michels. But I don't think Rinus Michels won the 3 in a row. I think he won 2 in a row, and then he became the Dutch manager. And then before that, it was Real Madrid won 5 in a row back in the 50s. I think Benfica won a couple in a row. And I think Inter Milan won 2 in a row. I'm not sure. Pretty sure Inter Milan won 2 in a row. This is a good question, actually. I'm going to find this out. So Zinedine Zidane won 3 Champions Leagues in a row. Arrigo Sacchi's won 2 in a row with AC Milan. Champions Leagues, or Old European Cups, that is. Brian Clough won 2 in a row as well. What other managers and teams won consecutive European Cups in the European Cup era? So I think, while it looks it up, the consecutive European Cup winners are Real Madrid, AC Milan, Nottingham Forest. Did Liverpool win a couple in a row? I can't remember. I don't think they did win 2 in a row. I could be wrong. Bayern Munich, Ajax, Inter Milan, and Real Madrid. Let's have a look. So Real Madrid won 5 consecutively. Yeah, Inter Milan did as well. Yeah, I was right. Yeah. Ajax won 3 in a row. Bayern Munich won 3 in a row. Cloughy won a couple. Saki won a couple. And Zidane won 3 in a row. Wow. Marcello Lippi got to 3 consecutive finals. 96, 97, 98, but only won 1. Ancelotti's won the most Champions League titles, but they were never consecutive. Interesting. Wow. But so Zinedine Zidane is in elite company with some of the great managers of all time, like Arrigo Sacchi, Brian Clough, Dietmar Kramer of Bayern Munich, Rinus Michels of Ajax, Helenio Herrera, who won it with his iconic Catenaccio system, that defensive Italian style, and Jose Villalonga and Luis Caniglia of Real Madrid. Wow, interesting. So Zidane is a class manager. So just going back to what it's saying about Zizou. Okay. Now, the key to Zidane and his success, it says here, is he needs a mature squad with big players he can trust. I think we've got quite a mature squad, to be fair. I mean, De Ligt's mature. He's solid, consistent. Bruno's class. Casemiro's one of his players. I think that's fine. It's just they just haven't quite got the right formula at United. He needs a club that gives him freedom from the media noise. Well, that might be a bit tough because he might be expected to give 1 million interviews at Man United if he became the manager. So you would need to have a little word with Sir Jim and say, look, pal, you can have 1 interview a week and that's it. And he needs players who will respect him as the Don, not just the coach. And he's got 3 misconceptions. 1, so misconception number 1, it says that he's not a tactician, which is wrong. He's just not a flashy tactician. Number 2, it says that he was carried by Ronaldo, which is wrong because he benched Ronaldo in games to protect his legs and he still won. And misconception number 3 is that he's lucky. But you don't win 3 Champions Leagues in a row with luck. So the summary is that Zidane is a calm, flexible manager who thrives with top-level players, adapts smartly in big games, and builds unity without ego. He's not a pressing evangelist or a tactical philosopher. He's a master of harmony, balance, and big moments. So yeah, Zinedine Zidane would be an absolute long shot, but I think Ineos are building a squad that would actually suit him. Let's have a little look. Look at that. The chat is on fire. Chris, what you saying? Oh, hang on. Before we get to Chris, we've got Ifiok Udofia. Welcome, my friend. You are most welcome. What you saying? We need an interim manager. If Amorim is rightly sacked, and in my opinion, Rude is the man to take us to the end of the season, then management can decide afterwards. I'll tell you what, Ifok, that's what United should have done last season. Really. Ruud van Nistelrooy, I think that's a really good shout. He played 5 games, won 4, drew 1. And yeah, I like Ruud. I really like Ruud. I mean, he's probably my favourite Man United player of all time. He's class. Chris, we got offered 100 million for him. If Ineos are serious about getting rid of the bomb squad, they should be looking to move on Bruno. Bruno's class though, mate. Chris Griffiths, it was the BBC. I'm assuming you're talking about Bale, Benzema and Cristiano, and not that left-wing socialist rag of an organisation, a morally bankrupt organisation, the British Broadcasting Corporation. Chris, Benzema, Bale and Cristiano. Remember Bale's bicycle kick? I remember that well. I'm not even kidding. I remember that well. I was at my friend's brother's wedding, and it's a family of Scousers, staunch Scousers they are. And me and my friend, and it was actually on the Champions League day, and this particular Champions League match was shown live on YouTube. So on the day, me and my Man United friend, we got 2 white T-shirts, and we got them printed with like Real Madrid badges and Ronaldo 7 on the back and stuff like that. So little crap Real Madrid tops, and we put them on underneath our suits. And when the party was flowing and the Champions League match was gone, and then when Bale scored that that overhead kick, it was amazing. And it secured the title. We took our shirts off and we flashed everyone the Real Madrid shirts on our back. It was absolutely class. They took it in good humour, to be fair, so that was really good. Ifyok, in the last 2 transfer periods, Ineos have brought in at least 9 new players. They have tried. Our players are not bad. Amorim should work with what he has. He needs to adapt. I do agree Amorim needs to be doing better with what he's got. I agree with that, my friend. Definitely. I don't even think he needs to adapt too much. I think he just needs to play a couple of players in their correct positions. Kobbie Mainoo should be playing in central midfield alongside Ugarte or Casemiro. And if he's adamant he's not going to be playing Kobbie, stick Mason Mount in there. Because he's a number 8, not a number 10. Chris, the formation is not suited to the players we currently have. Amorim needs to adapt or he's going to get fired. I would disagree with that one, Chris. I think the players are more than capable of playing this formation. Ifiok agrees with you though, Chris. He's saying that he always felt Ronaldo helped Zidane while he coached the team. Oh, maybe. If we sign Baleba, there is no guarantee that it will be the final price or the final. Well, I'm assuming you mean final piece of the jigsaw. No, you're right. There is no guarantees, but hopefully by that time, the players that we have got have kicked on and they start scoring goals. Chris Griffiths, what's your memory of the 99 final? I was watching it in a pub in Liverpool. It was chaos. 2 questions. 1, how old are you, Chris? And 2, why were you watching Man United in the Champions League final in 1999? Why were you watching it in Liverpool? That's not the first place I would think about watching a Man United Champions League final. Big Bang Bang's here. And you've changed your name as well. Beat Chelsea we must. Well, beat Chelsea Amorim must, or he could be out. But in answer to Chris's question, yeah, I watched it at home. How old was I at the time? It was in May. So I would have just turned 16 years old. And I watched it at home with my mum and dad. I just remember it not being a very good game. We just weren't the same United. We didn't have a lot of penetration. I remember it just being a weird, awkward game because Giggs was on the right and Blomqvist was on the left. Beckham didn't really suit. Well, he didn't do badly playing in central midfield. It didn't suit his game. He was always best on the right side. But then, obviously, we were fitter than they were. And they were absolutely shattered. And when he went back to 4-4-2 eventually. I don't know how it worked out at 4-4-2. But I remember David Beckham went onto the right and Giggsy went onto the left. And we immediately got some width. I remember Sheringham and Solskjaer coming on. And I remember Sheringham's equaliser. And even to this day, I don't know how we scored that one. Because it just, I don't know, it was a little bit of a game of pinball, and then it just fell for him and he put it in, and I remember feeling the relief. That was the one that I enjoyed the most, the equaliser, because the relief that it was 1-1. And then before we had time to process that, Solskjaer made it 2-1, and I remember running outside onto the street, like celebrating. 16-year-old lad, daft as a brush. So that's my memories of the 1999 Champions League final. But we deserved to win that one. We did. We deserved to win it. Bang Bang says, sorry, I like to talk like Yoda sometimes, but this is a massive game for the manager. By hook or by crook, we must win. We need to start winning. If you're Big Bangs, there's no indication we can get a draw against Chelsea, even though they played today. Actually, let's have a little look at the results, because there was some games today, wasn't there? It's a good shout, actually. Inter Milan beat Ajax 2-0. Mkhitaryan was playing. Former United charge. Bayern Munich battered Chelsea 3-1. Cole Palmer scored as well. Harry Kane scored 2. Good player, Harry Kane, even now. How old is he? About 42, and he's still banging them in. Luis Diaz played for them as well. They've got a good side by Munich. Oh, Neuer played. Do you know what? Manuel Neuer, I keep on thinking he's retired, but he just pops up every now and then. He must be quite injury prone. Garnacho got a little run out as well with Chelsea. It'd be interesting to see how he gets on at Chelsea. Scousers won. Ah. And they got another late winner, Van Dijk. Oh, it was 2-0 to Liverpool, then Atletico clawed it back, equalised on the 81st minute, and then Van Dijk. Honestly, can't stand the Scousers. Not people from Liverpool, generally speaking. I quite like the people from Liverpool. I'm talking about Scousers as in Liverpool football fans. PSG won 4-0. Wow. Good side, to be fair. What's today? What happened yesterday? Arsenal beat Athletic Club 2-0. Juventus Dortmund 4-4. Wow. Vlahovic got a couple as well. I really wanted United to sign Vlahovic. I really like him. Real Madrid won 2-1. Mbappe scored 2 penalties. And had someone sent off as well. And Spurs beat Villarreal 1-0. Interesting. Interesting indeed. Interesting results there. What's going on here on the chat? Big bangs. Chris Griffiths. I'm ancient. It was an amazing atmosphere. Was in the pub with some mates and we were terrible. When United scored and we won some big scouts that got up and spat on the big screen. That is absolutely disgusting. Honestly, I mean, what else? What are you saying? He got launched out of the pub, which was ironic. Good. Like, I mean, I understand football is a passionate sport and all of that, but when people behave like that, spit on screens and stuff, it's just, it's like, why? What's the point? It's only football. It's a sport. It's entertainment. Do you know what I mean? It's nuts. It's like when Jamie Carragher spat at the United fans when they were teasing him on his way home in the car. It's like, why? I don't get it. Why? Good grief. But that's not good. I remember watching the 2008 Champions League final in Manchester. I used to live just down the road from Old Trafford Stadium, just opposite Salford Quays tram stop, which was about a 10-minute walk away from Old Trafford. Not even 10 minutes, to be honest. And there's a Wetherspoons, which is still there to this day, just up the road from Old Trafford, called the Bishop's Place, and I was in there watching the Champions League final. It was chock-a-block, and I remember it was penalty shootout. I thought we were going out. John Terry stepped up and obviously slipped and missed. And then Van der Sar saved Nicholas Anelka's penalty, and it was great. It was bedlam. I was on the table dancing, and I remember someone must have launched a plastic glass in the air, and it was like a proper hard plastic, and it hit me on the back of the head. And I'm telling you now, I must have been a little bit concussed, but I was so delirious because of the victory. I mean, it didn't even matter. But yeah, that's my memories of the 2008 final. Ifyok, in 99, Ferguson played a 4-4-2. In 2008, he played 4-3-3. If you formation, you have to be flexible. Fergie was, Alonso and Conte have shown that. Amorim, the thing is though, I mean, Amorim, see, I get what you're saying, but I think too much is made of this 3-4-3 with Amorim sometimes, because it is a flexible system, and he's even said that. So depending on what's happening in the game, the 3-4-3 can easily morph into a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3. And that's how he's specifically designed that system, so he can be tactically flexible depending on what phase of the game that they're in. And if you look at the players that we've got, so we'll play 3-4-3, obviously. So whoever's playing at right wing back, if it's Mazraoui or Dalot, they can easily stay back, and it's 4 at the back. Dorgu can easily make it a 4-4-2. Especially if like Bruno goes on sort of the right wing or something like that. Not Bruno, Mbeumo, sorry. Mbeumo or Dalot if he's playing at number 10. So it is quite tactically flexible. And yeah, Fergie did play 4-3-3. However, his 4-3-3 was very similar to what Ruben Amorim plays. Sometimes it would be 4-3-3, but it was at full strength. So Fergie's full strength team that season is the team that played in the Champions League final. So it was Wes Brown. It was back four was Wes Brown, Vidic, Ferdinand, Evra. 3 in midfield were Hargreaves, Scholes, and Carrick. And then up front it was Rooney, Ronaldo, Tevez. Now, it started off 4-3-3, but it could quite easily morph into a 3-4-3 because Evra used to push up and Hargreaves used to go into like a wing-back position. And Evra was very much an attacking full-back. But he could also go 4-4-2. So Ronaldo could sort of go into left midfield. Hargreaves could actually attack and be a right winger as well. And it would be Tevez and Rooney up front, as well as it being 4-3-3. But also, it could also be a 4-2-3-1. So you could have, so Rooney could just sort of drop behind, and Tevez would just be the lone striker up front with Ronaldo on the left and Hargreaves on the right, with Carrick and Scholes in the middle. So it was very, very, very tactically adaptable, that formation back then. Chris, I then went on to sing Always Look on the Bright Side of Life in the karaoke. The landlord pulled the plug and he feared I would incite a riot. Ha ha ha! Well done, sir. I'll tell you what though, I've been to Anfield. I went to see United versus Liverpool at Anfield the season after we won the Champions League in 2008, and I got tickets through a draw at work at a job I was working. I used to work in this financial company, and everyone, they just pulled out 2 names from everyone in the company, and it was mine and some other lads. And it was when I was living in Manchester, and I got tickets, and we got the supporters bus there, and we were there, and we were in like a little corner of Anfield behind the goal, and we were surrounded. And to be fair, like the atmosphere was absolutely electric on this game, and it was Berbatov's debut after we'd just signed him, and we got beat that day, which obviously wasn't good. I don't think we played that well, but I remember I got smacked in the mouth and my front tooth got chipped, which wasn't good because I was about to leave Manchester and move to London to become an actor. So that's no good because you need a Hollywood smile. Thankfully, I've got one now. But yeah, I got smacked because we went 1-0 up, and the guy in front of me, naturally, arms in the air, yeah, and he just went, and I went, oh. But I wasn't angry, even though I could, I was moving the little chipped tooth around in my mouth with my tongue. But I wasn't angry because, we were 1-0 up. Bang bang. Chelsea having won at Old Trafford since 2013, when we already won the league, and I think it's the perfect fixture for us to bounce back. And I do love beating the scam, but I'm assuming you mean scum. Yeah, you don't like Chelsea, do you, Bang Bang? Whether we win is it's 50-50, mate, if you ask me. More jam than Robinsons, yeah. Bang Bang, and I just want to thank the Big for his tribute to the champion of the speech, Mr. Charlie Kirk. Yeah, it wasn't nice, that, was it? Bang bang. I did notice your little tribute underneath that little post that I put up. I'm not gonna lie, bang bang. I've been quite upset by the passing, well, the murder of Charlie Kirk. I was actually in tears last night thinking about it. It really has affected me. I'm a God-fearing Christian man, as you can see here. Um, and yeah, Charlie Kirk, I think, was fighting the good fight, and for him to be taken out the way he was, just for having opinions and stuff, it was. It's not been nice at all. But thanks for acknowledging that there, Bang Bang. And if there's one good thing that's come out of it is his popularity has absolutely skyrocketed, and also like he's inspired. Well, I'm assuming millions to become Christians. So that's a good thing, and all of his social media accounts have went through the roof. And I'll be honest, I've been watching more and more of his stuff of him posthumously than what I was prior. So always a silver lining, I suppose, but it was absolutely horrific, and it just wasn't nice. Just wasn't nice at all. But yeah, Jules Solskjaer. But just to sort of put a bow on that. God bless Charlie Kirk. R.I.P. Jules Solskjaer, Red Devil United. Good evening. Good evening, Jules. Chris Griffiths. The derby when Rio scored in the last minute. I was in the Walkabout pub in Liverpool. You must be a Scouser, Chris. Are you a Scouser, or were you at university in Liverpool? Or something like that. Deep behind enemy lines, my mate said, if you score, don't celebrate. 2 seconds later, Rio scored. I promptly legged it, as I was defo going to get a kicking. Yeah, my first ever United game was in Leeds, and I was in the Leeds end. And Eric Cantona scored, and I cheered. When his name, was announced on the tannoy, and when they announced the names and everyone was booing, I cheered. I was about 14, and I got threatened as well by some old geezer. Threatening a 14-year-old, it's mental. Ifiok, Fergie's 4-3-3 was Hargreaves, Scholes and Carrick. That's 2 DMs and 1 playmaker. Presently, we can do Casemiro and Ugarte behind Bruno or Mainoo. It's different from what Amorim's doing. We're weak in midfield. Well, obviously, Amorim doesn't have Carrick, Paul Scholes or Owen Hargreaves. But the point I was making, Ifiok, was that the styles were actually quite similar. Obviously different personnel. But Ruben Amorim has more than enough talent at his disposal to be doing a lot better than what he's actually doing at the moment. Big Bang and Big Bang Bangs, he's going to start his mission to get people to understand the greatness of the original Big D, the great Deco, the man who make Andres Iniesta and Xavi Hernandez look average. Deco was a good player. He was one of Mourinho's key players when he won the Champions League with Porto. Then he goes to Barcelona, wins the Champions League there. And then he goes to Chelsea, he does well there. So Deco's won 2 Champions Leagues. Wow, yeah. Chris, I worked for Liverpool for a while. Long story. I managed to get to see the Wanfield Derby. That was amazing. The Wanfield Derby. What is the Wanfield Derby, Chris? And Jules Solskjaer. I wouldn't step foot in Liverpool. Well. Why not, Jules? Why not? when Juan Mata scored. Oh, is that the one? Oh yeah, he scored a really good goal, didn't he? That was under Louis van Gaal, was it not? Louis van Gaal got the best out of Juan Mata because he suited that tippy-tappy style that he brought in. Chris, I nearly got battered at a service station years ago on the way home from United versus Norwich by some United fans. I had a Newton Heath shirt. That was fun. Was it an actual Newton Heath shirt? Or was it the old lemon and lime shirt that we used to have in 93, 94? The one where Eric Cantona scored that amazing volley against Wimbledon in the FA Cup. Was it that one? Or was it an actual vintage Newton Heath shirt? Going to have to wrap up soon, guys. We've been talking for nearly 2 hours. Wow. The Big D can rabbit on. I want to know what Chris says to that question. And then I think the Big D is going to wrap up tonight's live stream. But, yeah. 20 to 12. We've got a few people watching. Jules, did the United fans think the Newton Heath shirt was a Norwich shirt? I've never heard that one, Jules, to be honest. It depends what you mean by the Newton Heath shirt. Like I say, are you guys talking about the one that we wore in 93-94 season? That was a tribute to that, the yellow and green one, where Eric Cantona scored that amazing volley against Wimbledon in the FA Cup? Or are you talking about the actual one? Chris, some colours as Norwich. Some fans thought I was a Norwich fan. Oh. Interesting. Brilliant. Well, guys, you know what? It's been absolutely lovely chatting to you as ever. Remember, if you like this stream, please like, share, and subscribe. And if there's anything on your mind, you know what to do. Put it in the chat. Thoughts in the chat, as ever. And once this wraps up, thoughts in the comments. The Big D reads all of the comments. He's always interested in what is on your mind. Check out the Big D Insta, the Big D TikTok as well. And remember to put the little notification button on so that you know when the next Big D video hits, or any of his commentary videos as well. And the Big D will see you in the next one. Ciao.